Hiya and welcome to the Natural Healing Show on UK Health Radio. My name is Yara and today I'll be speaking with a lady named Akasha Wacha. Akasha Wacha is a shamanic healer, spiritual teacher and therapist based in the UK and South America. Akasha offers shamanic training, workshops and courses, one-to-one healings, spiritual counseling, and leads groups of people to learn, train and heal with herself and indigenous tribal master shamans in the Amazon rainforest. Akasha leads the hugely popular One Love tribal gathering once a month in London for the London College of Spirituality and has trained with shamans within the lineage of Native American, European and Peruvian traditions, with her main focus on Amazonian shamanism. Akasha Wacha is the organizer of the One Love Tribal Gathering events. The One Love Tribal Gathering events include shamanic South American drumming, singing of sacred songs, tribal trance dance, indigenous wisdom sharing and shamanic ceremonies of sacred connection. And it's all about celebration of life, sacred connection to our beloved Pachamama, Mother Earth. Wisdom teaching from the elders, dancing, drumming, sound, singing and energy work. These evenings bring sacred teachings to the world. One of the visions of One Love Tribal Gatherings is whoever you are and wherever you have come from on this planet, we all originate from shamanic cultures. It's everyone's original history and our birthright to practice shamanism and what our ancestors have been doing since we incarnated on this beautiful planet hundreds and thousands of years ago, to share indigenous knowledge and wisdom. The Natural Healing Show isn't just about exploring different therapies, it's about exploring the inner self, exploring the power of thoughts and consciousness, and how our thinking can shape our reality. The Natural Healing Show is also about understanding and looking deep into nature. Einstein said, "Look deep into nature, then you will understand everything better." And that's one of the philosophies of the Natural Healing Show. Now, this is really a subject that interests me deeply. I'm really looking forward to hearing Akasha's opinions on Indigenous cultural knowledge. Thank you so much for joining me today, Akasha, on the Natural Healing Show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for having me, Yara. So my name is Akasha Wacha. I have been working within shamanism for the last 14 years. I was married originally to a Brazilian ayahuasca shaman. He trained me, and then that led me to go and do my advanced and master's apprenticeship in the Peruvian Amazon with indigenous masters there. I work with groups bringing them out to the Amazon. I also train people as well in the indigenous ways of Amazonian shamanism. I also as well work direct with tribal leaders, working in alliance with, in particular with the Akasha tribe, that we've formed an alliance with, helping to protect their knowledge and protect their way of life. This tribe, they come from the Acre region of the Brazilian Amazon. They're a very, very remote tribe. I'll be bringing my next group out there in November. It's going to take us 5 to 7 days to get there. That's just how remote they are. They're as remote as you could be for a tribe in the Amazon. So I lead the One Love Tribal Gathering. The One Love Tribal Gathering came together a couple of years ago with the London College of Spirituality when they asked me if I could hold a shamanic event for them. And this is where the One Love Tribal Gathering came about. Basically, the One Love Tribal Gathering, my work is very much about the Rainbow Warriors prophecy. And the One Love Tribal Gathering is a big part of assisting in that. Would you like me to speak a little bit about the Rainbow Warriors prophecy?
That would be amazing. Please do.
Okay, so the Rainbow Warriors prophecy, I mean, it's been described in many different indigenous cultures, and said in slightly different variations, but the same prophecy. The most famous one is the one from the Hopi Indians, which most people have heard of. And with the Rainbow Warriors prophecy for the Hopi Indians, it says that in this coming time now, right now on the earth, when the birds are falling from the sky, when the rivers are being polluted, when the sacred forests are being cut down, and Pachamama is crying, our dear Mother Earth is crying out for help. for many thousands of years, the sacred tribes of the earth have been praying and calling for us. We are the Rainbow Warriors. We're the warriors from the 4 directions. And the warriors from the Rainbow Warriors, the warriors of light, are all of us that are enlightened, that are awakened. And they've been calling upon us for, in this very, very sacred time now, to stand up and to do what we can to help the planet, to join forces with them. Because they need our help. The indigenous need our help, and they have been holding the prayer and doing the sacred rituals for the earth, to carry the earth forward for many thousands of years. But now they need our help now. They need us to step into our power and to remember our magnificence and to do what we can to help. Because what I see with my spiritual work over the years, my shamanic work, is there's a massive awakening that's happening across the planet, and it's amazing, it's beautiful. But what I'm seeing is, as people are becoming more awakened, those who are already awakened, they're spending much more of their time with people of higher vibrations. And this is not the way. Because we awaken as one tribe, the world is just one global village, and we're all brothers and sisters. And if we don't help those of the low vibrations to wake up, then none of us will survive. So we must spend more time with those of the lower vibrations and be able to speak to them in a language that they can understand, not try and force spirituality down their throat. Instead, try to reach them and speak to them in words that they can digest, the much more quicker that we can assist this awakening. Because it is so important that we join forces, everybody together. So the Rainbow Warriors prophecy says about that the Rainbow Warriors will come up against much prejudice, much hatred, and many evil forces. And it's a time for us to come together. We have strength in numbers. So my work is very much about reaching those of the masses and reaching those of the lower vibrations, and also inspiring those of the higher vibrations to gather together and to remember that they're powerful. Because as Rainbow Warriors, many of us focus our energy onto other people, like other spiritual teachers or things like this. We forget that we all carry the spirit of the shaman. We all carry the spirit of the master healer. We all carry the spirit of the spiritual teacher and leader. And all of the answers are within ourselves. And one person can move mountains. Absolutely. One person can make so much difference. It's very like what I teach within my groups and with the One Love Tribal Gathering. It's very easy for us to get sucked in and overwhelmed with what is happening on the earth. And yes, there is a lot that's happening. The earth is kind of in a little bit of a state of turmoil, going through a very deep cleanse. And yes, there are a small selection of very greedy men. So, with the problems that are happening in the world, it's very easy for us to be swallowed up and consumed by it and go, oh, wow, it's so big what's happening. How can I make a difference? We're doomed. I even fell prey to that years ago. But, I'm very, very honoured that in the last few years I've gone through a very deep awakening, especially in the last year, which many people are experiencing this as well, for those that are awakened, going through an even more deep awakening. And I'm very honoured that now I have a saint that walks with me. His name is Saint F. And I also have some ascended masters that I now work with and channel with. And the messages that they keep giving me is that everything that's been prophesied with the Rainbow Warriors prophecy, it's happening. It's happening as it should. And, this shake-up needs to be happening, because the awakening that's happening, things need to get worse before they're going to get better. And it's a very sacred time that's happening, because with that, people are able to wake up. If the problems come on your doorstep, it helps you to wake up. I'll use this example, like in the 1990s when we saw like all the stuff going on in Africa. Yeah, people would watch and cry a little bit and feel really bad and maybe donate a bit of money and then forget about it and get on with their day-to-day lives. But now it's like, now we're getting the gift that the problems are now coming onto our doorstep. Now it's no longer just watching it on a TV screen. Like now, this is part of the awakening, is that what's happened in Greece is going to happen in this country, sooner rather than later. There's going to be a massive crash that's going to happen. And we have nothing to fear. I'm not saying this to build any fear. People need to step into that without fear, because this is all essential. If we want to step into a new system, the old systems need to crack and fall away. And for that, the old systems are falling apart right now, and there's kind of like the powers that be are kind of like grasping to try and keep on gaining control. They're becoming very fearful. And with that, the transition can be a little bit rocky, but it's essential. And there's many good people. I tell people, don't focus on the negativity that's going on the earth. Yeah, we have to be aware that it's happening. We can't just pretend we live in a fluffy world. We have to be aware that it's happening, but not to focus our energy and our prayers on it, because what we focus on only creates more. What we choose to see will become our reality. If we're only focusing to see the negativity, the wars, the anger, the hatred, we're just actually feeding that machine, and we're actually giving it more full power to create more. But we need to focus on peace and love. We also need to focus on as well that everything that's happening in the world is a reflection of what is happening in our own inner world. So why is the world so polluted? Because many people's bodies are so polluted with all of the polluted food that people are eating. If we want to see peace in the earth, we must have peace within our hearts and within our minds and within our spirit. If we want to see love everywhere, we must project love everywhere and feel love in every cell of our body. So everything that's happening is a blessing. Before I used to be so fearful about it, but now I see that it's all part of the prophecy. Everything that's happening right now, in the Rainbow Warriors prophecies and other prophecies, it said that in around about the time of 2012, there would be a massive uprising, especially in the Middle East. And what did we see? We saw the Arab uprising. We saw in Greece and other countries, Spain and places like that, where people were standing up against their government. So the veil has become very thin now with the lies and deceit that we've been fed. People are now going, hang on, this is all rubbish what I've been fed. Actually, what they were trying to sell me about how to live my life, this isn't real. This isn't real. And actually, I'm being poisoned, I'm being polluted, I'm being ripped off by governments, and who are these people that are actually leading us? Do I trust them? And this is all essential. This is all essential. And with, as I go back to the prophecy, so with the coming time now, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to rise up from the masses and go, hang on, this isn't true. And with that, the Rainbow Warriors need to really step into their power and step up as leaders and teachers and shine the light forward. Proper education for our children, alternative education for our children, all of the things that we want, alternative medicine, herbalism. Oh God, there's so much stuff that comes into it, but this is something that we need to stop. We need to give an option, and nobody is preaching about love, harmony, peace. So someone needs to. So at the moment, we are putting together the Love, Harmony, Peace Party. I'm putting it together with the London College of Spirituality and a few other amazing leaders that I know as well who are going to be taking charge of different areas. And there'll be many people that will get involved in us. This is going to be a very, very big political party. But it'll be something that's going to reach out to many brothers and sisters.
What you're saying reminds me of this proverb where it says, if you think you're too small to be effective, then you've never been to bed with a mosquito. It's quite powerful. And I think what you're talking about is
Exactly.
The whole shifting consciousness, because knowledge is power, isn't it? And for people who have that knowledge, it is really important to spread it, because if you don't spread that knowledge, then how is it going to get heard? And also,
absolutely,
when you're talking about consciousness and how we shape our reality with our thoughts. I mean, this is actually, going on to quantum physics here, but you hear a lot of people from the past and the present, all these wise people who have stressed that point that we are what we think and we become what we think, and the whole process of the power of thought. Love is the most powerful force, really, isn't it? And absolutely. I mean, if you're just going to continue to spread the hate, then exactly that's what you're doing. You're just projecting more hate. But you have to be really strong, I think, to be faced with that darkness and then turn it around into light and then project that out.
Yeah.
But I mean, just for
absolutely.
people, Akasha, for people who don't know what shamanism is, in your perception, what would you say to them? What is shamanism?
So shamanism is the most oldest spiritual practice of the earth. You know, like for ancient practices of India and Egypt and places like this, they're only several thousand or tens of thousands of years old, whereas shamanism is hundreds of thousands of years old. For as long as we have been here on the planet, our ancestors have been giving offerings to the earth, praying to the sun, the moon, communing with the spirits of nature. So shamanism is as old as it gets, and it is the most ancient of spiritual practices. So no matter who you are or where you come from on the planet, every single one of us originate from shamanic cultures. So basically, shamanism is about connecting very deeply with the earth, you know, about connecting to the spirits of the earth. Our ancestors were able to hear what the birds were singing, what the trees were saying, what the plants were talking. You know, everything around us in nature is speaking to us all the time. But when we started building cities and we started moving away from living very naturally and living in tribal communities, we started to lose our ancient gifts of being able to be so connected that we could hear all of this. The shaman kind of is the intermediary, the go-between between this world and the other worlds. And the shaman would be like the medicine man or the medicine woman within a tribe that would be able to retrieve information for people, but also to be able to work with plants, herbs, sacred songs, things like this, you know, to be able to be like a spiritual doctor for the people. Also to be an intermediary as well, to be able to channel through messages as well. Shamanism plays a really important role for where we are right now on the earth, because a lot of the problems that are happening on the earth is because people are so disconnected. How will people be able to care for the earth and love all of its inhabitants if they don't feel connected to it? If they don't feel connected to their brothers and sisters, if they don't feel connected to the animals, if they don't feel connected to trees or, you know, the grasses, you know, or plants, how are they going to want to protect it or even care about it? And that's what we need, you know, because shamanism helps us to wake up to our connection to all of it, that we're part of this beautiful cosmic web, you know, that we know when there's a walking here on the earth, like everything is an extension of ourselves. And when people start practicing shamanism, it awakens that within themselves, and with that they want to become caretakers, they want to become protectors of the earth, and this is why it's so important.
And with indigenous cultures, I mean, with the shaman and the shaman of each culture, they will adopt this knowledge at a very early age, won't they? And this knowledge will be passed down from their ancestors, from their father, from their grandfather before that, and they carry this knowledge into the culture. And it's endless, the amount of plant knowledge that these cultures possess.
Absolutely. I mean, I work with tribal leaders, in most particular with the Akasha Wacha, and I bring them over to the UK. I work with Nanawa Paidamata. He's one of the spiritual leaders of the Akasha Wacha, and he's a dear soul brother of mine, a beautiful, beautiful, not just a spiritual leader for his people, but a spiritual leader for the planet. That's why I've been bringing him to the UK and to Europe, so that he could share the message of what he brings and the wisdom that he brings, because it's so ancient, it's so untouched. But when on the first time that I brought him to the UK last year, we were sitting talking very deeply about his culture and the ancient wisdom of his people. And he asked me, I said, would you like to ask me any questions? And he said, I'd like to know about like the medicine men and women of this land. And immediately tears started to well up in my eyes. And I said, it's such a sad story that I don't know where to start. And I was like, I told him the story about how we had the persecution of the medicine people of our land. The ancient ways, the ancient texts, the ancient books are all gone, you know, and how there was a massacre, you know, at the Catholic Church, you know, and did everything that they could to stamp out and kill all of the medicine women and the medicine men, and you know, it was awful what had happened all across Europe. I told him this, and he said it was so sad, and I said, yeah, for me, so sad as well, because for me, I have to go and travel to the Amazon, spend my time out there to be able to learn from you, because the knowledge has gone from my own land. And that's how sad that it is, that we've lost so much. And especially here in the UK, this is such a sacred land. This tiny little island contains so much wisdom. They're getting over to the shamans in the Amazon. I've worked very deeply with a few indigenous shamans over there, because I did my advanced and master shaman apprenticeship over in the Peruvian Amazon, which I finished in 2012, and I worked with 2 indigenous shamans over there. But going much more deeper into real ancient tribal knowledge was working with the Kashnau, because the Kashnau is something very, very unique. Because they're such a remote and ancient tribe, very, very deep in the Amazon, they've kept a lot of their ancient wisdom. So, they're really a link back to many, many thousands of years. And yeah, in many of the different cultures, they all have different protocols of how the shamans are chosen. Each one is different. I asked the Nawa how he was chosen, and they said, well, that there's signs. Like when the children are very small, there's signs very, very early that they're gifted. But I'd like to share with you, like with the Kogis. With the Kogis, it's really amazing how the shamans are chosen within their people. And what happens is, like when the babies are born, the shamans are told which babies are going to become master shamans, and the babies are taken immediately, and they're taken into a cave, which they'll stay in for 7 years. And basically, so day and night, they will have women will come in to care for the baby. But they will have shamans and spiritual teachers coming in and constantly teaching the child from birth in this cave. And the child will not leave the cave until it's 7 years old. And by the time the child leaves the cave, once it's 7 years old, it's already a master shaman, like a high up master shaman. I was lucky enough to do plant medicine with one of the Kogi elders. And when I first met him, he looks like white. He's got white skin and white hair. But he looked like a Western white man. I was very surprised. And when I asked another shaman friend of mine that I work with, he said that's because he's lost his pigmentation from being in the cave from when he was in his early childhood. And I did a healing session with the Kogi elder, and it was very fascinating. He said, "Oh yeah, I had to go through the protocol, and yeah." He said, "Oh yeah, they let me out of the cave after when I was 5 years old." He said, "I'd already become a master shaman by then, so they let me out by then. I'd finished my training, and it blew my mind." So with every single culture, they have a different way of choosing or how it's ordained, and then a very many different ways of how the processes of the training will be in the initiation, because the initiations are very, very important. And it also depends on different cultures as well, whether women are allowed to practice or not, because not all traditions allow women to be shamans. Unfortunately, there's still to this day a lot of ignorance and a lot of prejudice trying to hold back women, because women are very powerful as shamans, and there's still a lot of prejudice even within tribal peoples. But there are many tribal peoples that do acknowledge and have deep respect for the medicine woman and encourage it.
When you were out there, Akasha, how long did it take for you to finish all your training?
Well, my journey is a very strange one. So when I was, I'm very honest with my story. I don't hide what I leave it with warts and all, because it's a very important part of my story that I'm seeing with exactly what brought me to this point. When I was 21, I was living in squats all around London, and I was, let's just say, a bit of a wild child. I was a drug addict. I was addicted to amphetamines, and I was pretty much a party squat girl. I was very out of control and had been for about 10 years. My drug addiction started when I was about 12. So when I was 21 years old, I went out to Brazil backpacking, and I met a Brazilian shaman out there, Dougie Maricato de Souza. We ended up falling in love, and we ended up marrying. And I brought him back to the UK, and then we married over here. And while he was over here, he's a ayahuasquero shaman, and he started healing me with ayahuasca, and it saved my life. This amazing plant medicine saved my life. And from day one, I was assisting him. as I was assisting him in Brazil in his ceremonies, and I was kind of like the shaman's wife. I had no urge or calling, in myself. I had no urge in my heart to become an ayahuasquera like that. An ayahuasquera is a female ayahuasca shaman. For me, I wasn't searching for that. But after about 4 or 5 years of assisting my now ex-husband, the medicine called me very strongly and said, you are a master shaman, and you need to go over and you need to train with me much deeply. I kind of fought it with everything that I could. I mean, for anybody who comes to me and says, oh, I want to be an ayahuasquera, or I want to be an ayahuasquera, I go, probably not your path then, because it's something that no one would really actually choose. It's something that's chosen for you, and because it's a very, very hard path. It's a very difficult path. And so the medicine kept on calling me, and I kept on fighting and resisting it. And then I finally gave in, and I said, okay. But by then, I'd already been training for 8 years with my ex-husband, the Brazilian shaman. And I'd been training with him deeply, even though I didn't want to become an ayahuasquera. He had to train me so that I could perform healings and also to conduct the ceremonies with him. So I wasn't a beginner. And then I knew very well that, because I'd already been doing lots of training and shamanic training over those years anyway, not to do with plant medicine. So I already knew that, that you don't go searching for your teacher when it comes to things like this. The teacher finds you. And sure enough, the teacher did find me, and I found the teacher that I knew. I knew that it was the one that came to me in a book, actually. And there was many chains of events that happened that led us to end up working together. And he recognised me from the moment I arrived into the Amazon. So when I arrived there to the Peruvian Amazon to work with Don Javier, it was very obvious he'd never had a student like me before, because even if he'd had students that were a little bit who had experience with ayahuasca, he'd never had one that had so much experience as me. I mean, by the time I got out there, I'd been already holding ceremonies for 7 years, and I'd been holding them every week, so I drunk hundreds of times. So he was like, okay, we're going to go straight to advanced, because we don't need to start at the beginning. We're going to go straight to advanced. So I immediately started doing my advanced apprenticeship with him, and then I spent the next 3 years going back and forth from the UK and the Peruvian Amazon, training with him and Don Nemiers to do my advance, and then to do part of my masters over there. So, and then I finished my training in 2012, and yeah, so my life, I kind of owe everything to Mother Ayahuasca. I mean, she literally saved my life and give me so many gifts. So yeah, I mean, working with indigenous can be, yeah, it's a strange one, like coming from a female's perspective, because even though I had incredible experience, I'm very tough. For those people that know me, I'm a very tough spirit. You have to be with doing shamanic work. You have to be quite resilient, and also going out there as a Western woman. For a start, there's a lot of prejudice still against women, which I mentioned before. But I already had two massive things going against me going out to the jungle. First of all, I'm a woman, and second of all, I'm Western. So I had those two big things come against, but now I look back at it and it was all a blessing. Even though I didn't experience that prejudice with the two shamans that I was training deeply out there, coming into contact and traveling through, because I worked with other shamans that I was working with them side by side. But sometimes I would meet other indigenous shamans or that would disregard me straight away and say, oh, you're not indigenous, so we don't recognise you. You're also a woman, so we don't accept you either. That was something that I had to come up against regularly, and to me it was very much an essential part of my training, because it made me stand in my power as a woman by myself and say, actually, it doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want to term as indigenous. I'm indigenous to the planet. Whether I'm from, whether my family's from Yemen and I grew up in London, it doesn't matter. What matters is the integrity and the humbleness that I work with shamanism. It doesn't matter the color of my skin, what sex I am. None of this is or where I'm from on the planet. It's just completely irrelevant. So it's been quite a journey to come through that, to stand up, and also to stand up and say I am a master shaman, which many people go, oh no, you can't say things like that, but that's part of standing in your power, is to acknowledge your power without, and it's not coming from a point of ego or arrogance. Actually, it's coming from a point of real humbleness, but also respecting yourself, to say the only way that you can step into true power is to also acknowledge it, is to acknowledge and say, I am. And it's been an incredible journey. And the moment that I acknowledge the power, not just the power that works within me, works through me, because there are many amazing masters that work with me, and I'm very grateful and honoured that they work with me. But I also had to acknowledge the power that works within me. Because what I see and what many of us healers do is we do this I'm not worthy stuff, and it really holds you back. I did a whole decade ago, I'm not worthy, I'm just a little shaman's apprentice, and it's the powers above that work through me, and I'm not doing it, I'm not worthy. Many healers do that, and when you do that, it kind of like it stops a lot of your power from coming, your own internal power, from working with the powers that come through you as well. We have to come to a point where we go, no, I actually acknowledge the power that's within me as well, and own that. And owning it is can be a really hard journey. But the moment you go, yes, I own that, and really own it and step into your power, the moment that like your powers like exceed much more, and you feel an inner strength that comes through you, and it also allows the channel to open up much deeper as well. Because the Great Spirit's like, oh, okay, they've got it now. They've got it now that they are all powerful too.
Two of the most powerful words, aren't they? I am.
Yes.
Because it's like we're all initially creators, aren't we? So if we're using our words, and words are quite powerful as well, aren't they? So if you're shifting your focus into a more positive creation mode, then things are going to happen, things are going to change. There's that saying, isn't there? The world is made up of what you see. I mean, do you think spending time in these natural environments, being out there and living with the guardians of the last remaining natural ecosystems on the planet, that's how I perceive them to be? Because in my eyes, I mean, they are the masters. They are the ones who have lived and breathed this knowledge and grown up in those natural environments. I mean, do you think going out there, Akasha, and experience it has really shifted your awareness and your consciousness and brought you closer to the natural world?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But getting back to what you said about, do you think people should be going out there? I mean, yes, I do. But I think that there's got to be a very fine line, because, say, for example, in Peru, we have a really bad situation going on there now with like the shamanic tourism that goes over there has done so much damage to tribal peoples, and it's also corrupted very good people. In the end, like when money gets involved, it can be very corruptive. I think it's more about, like if people want to go out, in Brazil, it's still very untouched. There's many tribes that are still out there, and they don't have so much of this tourism thing out there. So that's why people like me, shamans like me, are working direct with tribal peoples, like with the Akasha Wacha, where we've built a healing school over there. In the last 2 years, we've been fundraising. We've built a healing school there that can now receive people to train, learn, and heal with them, but also to spend a little bit of time with their peoples. But how it works is people can go out there and learn and do workshops and do come out there for their festivals and things like this, but they cannot stay for periods of time, because we want the tribe to stay untouched, and the tribes want to stay within their community. There's only so much sharing of our cultures that is good, because otherwise it ends up diluting who they are, and they lose part of theirs. Lots of the tribes are in dire situation right now. When I spoke to Nanawa and I said, like, how can we help your people? Like, what is the problems that are going on? One of the problems is many of the young people are leaving, because as the very, very remote tribes start to have exposure with the West, they start to hear about things like iPods and televisions, and the young people start to think about fashion and things like this, and then they start to have no interest in learning the ancient ways. And then with that, it ends up causing the destruction of their own tribe if all the young people go. And this is not what we want. So how we work with, like, we have our alliance, which is Familia Escawata Kaiwe, where we work with Nanawa Paitamata and Chana Ikukuru from the Akasha Wacha in Alliance. We basically fundraise and put projects in place, but all of the projects put in place are to better their way of life without affecting their ancient way of life, So for things like health, sanitation, alternative energy, all these kind of things like this. But we're not going to have televisions being put in and things like this. We do not want this. We just want to protect their ancient wisdom and their way of life, to better their way of life, but without affecting how it is. And if you have an onslaught of foreigners going out to really, really remote tribes, it's not good. Like, say, for example, there's some of the tribes that are still uncontacted. The Kashanao, where we'll be going to visit, surrounding them, there's many tribes that are uncontacted, and we want them to stay that way. And a lot of them don't want to meet the white man. They've made that very clear that they don't want to, and I don't blame them for that. There's been a lot of, when the white man does come, on a rare occasion it's a benefit, but in most cases it's not. They bring diseases, they bring illness, and sometimes it causes the whole destruction of the tribe, and the young people go. So it's a very, very fine line with that. I think the best way that is how we're trying to do it, where we bring the tribal leaders over to our countries to talk to us, teach us, to share their wisdom, and then people can go in small groups, go out and stay there for short periods of time with them, with understanding the protocols of how the tribe works and how interactions, how is meant to be there. So it's a very, very fine line with that. Because after seeing so deeply, I've been going out to Peru for years, and seeing what's happened out there, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. And it's happening in other countries in South America. So it's very rare that someone will actually come across a proper indigenous tribal shaman that lives in the tribal ways. It's not, most people will not have exposure to that. But we don't want an onslaught of people going out there. So I want to bring over people to be able to learn the wisdom and knowledge, because they're our link back to how we used to live, and they contain so much wisdom. They're an essential part of the prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors, because we need them to help us carry us through into the new era. They have much wisdom, and there's a massacre that's happening in Brazil right now, and it's a tragedy for all of us. So all of us need to be holding the prayer every day for protection for the sacred tribes of the earth, because we really need them. We really, really need them, and they need us too.
Yeah, I mean, it's about finding the balance, really, isn't it? And with this knowledge. But, something that I noticed as well, unfortunately, is there's still a lot of prejudice towards tribal cultures in the way that they get boxed into the label of they're primitive, they need to move to our modern way of life. It was an article in the Metro, and it was basically talking about a tribe in the Amazon. And it said something like, these people living out in the jungle, they don't know how to do maths, and it compared them to rodents and small children. And I was really, really angered by this article. Not only was it racist, not only was it prejudice, but it completely didn't take into account that these people have lived and grown up in a natural environment, and that their knowledge is going to be to do with their environment, the natural world, and it completely disregarded survival knowledge they have, or any sustainable knowledge they have, biodiversity knowledge and plant knowledge. And I mean, what do you think about prejudice in our world today towards tribal cultures?
Well, this is something that's a very big problem. It's been going on, they've been doing this for hundreds of years, to do everything that they can, from artwork to how they write about it. It's been going on for hundreds of years. But, that's what we're doing, is to change that around, and other people are as well, because by bringing over tribal leaders to come over and to speak to us in the West, the moment you meet some of these tribal leaders, like Nanawa Pai Damato, he's been working with hundreds of people here in the UK. The moment people meet him, they know that they're meeting an enlightened being with so much wisdom. You can't help but hang on every word that he says, because he's profound. And for anybody that has any thoughts about Indigenous people being primitive or stupid or ignorant or any of this, all I got to say is just spend some time with some of the tribal leaders that we meet and we work with, because they are absolutely incredible. And I think that's what changes it, is for people to actually meet some Indigenous people themselves and actually meet some of the leaders and actually hear what they've got to say, because then it will squash everything that they're trying to do. But this is what they do, because the media tries to portray tribal peoples like that deliberately, so that people can turn a blind eye when they see tribes are being massacred and tribes are being thrown off the land. So they're like, oh, it's good, they'll put them on a reservation. I mean, look what they did to Native Americans. I mean, it helps for them to be full power, that they won't have a backlash for that. But when we bring over tribal leaders over here and they touch people's hearts with the message that they bring and the wisdom that comes through them, people go, oh my God, and then people want to speak out for them. I say to people, like, the importance of what's going on in Amazon is important to every single person on the planet. Because, say, for example, tribes like the Akasha Wacha that are very, very remote, that have held on to their ancient traditions, which are hundreds of thousands of years old, they know a cure for every single condition. With the Amazon is a massive pharmacy, and they know a cure for every single condition, be it mind, body, spirit. Now, if people don't see that as really, really important to protect that wisdom, I don't know what they do, because that is essential for us to carry forward. We cannot lose that wisdom. Now people are starting to go to them and want to learn on how to use these plants, and even more so for us to protect the Amazon, because it's our pharmacy going on there. When species get wiped out, we lose sacred medicines.
Ignoring the knowledge of indigenous cultures is pretty much like the burning down of libraries. Something that I noticed when I was out traveling in Borneo, I spent some time with tribes in Sarawak, and there is a lot of logging going on. Something that they were doing in efforts to protect the plant species around their village was they were a part of this project called the Traditional Knowledge Documentation Project. Now, what some of the shaman and the villagers would do is they would trek up to 3 weeks into the rainforest just collecting certain species of biodiversity. You can have one species just existing on a particular tree. If that tree is chopped down, then it completely wipes out that species. It's like biodiversity genocide. So what they were doing is they were going out into the rainforest with the knowledge that they had from their ancestors, and they were collecting different species of plants and trees, and they were bringing them back to the village, and they had created this medicine garden in the village with all these species just to protect these trees. Some of the plants that these cultures know about and the knowledge that they possess is unheard of in the Western world, and there's a massive, strong need to protect this knowledge and document this knowledge, because like you were saying, it's being lost because it's just passed down from word of mouth to generation to generation. And if the kids aren't listening, and if no one's listening, then where is this knowledge going? So this village was, their own efforts by themselves is just trying to protect these species of plant that they know about and that the West haven't heard about. And I firmly believe it. I mean, I have, spending time in the rainforest, it's almost like an epiphany. You realize how precious this landscape is, not just for the people there, but for our own survival and for our own connection to Mother Earth.
Absolutely. Total agreement to that. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a prayer that was given to me by the Mother, and it's a prayer for all of humanity, and she's asked me to share it with as many people as possible. That's why I do it with the One Love Trouble Gathering, and we have thousands of people to pray with us. So this is a prayer for everybody. I'd like to give great thanks to the Great Spirit for all of the blessings that we have in our life, for the food that we have to eat, for our shelter, for our children, for our loved ones. We give great thanks to the Great Spirit for all of the blessings that we have, for so many people do not have what we have, and we are so very lucky. We give great thanks to the Great Spirit for being chosen here to incarnate here on the earth in a very sacred time. For many spirits do not get to come here, and we are so lucky to be chosen. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shine a light of love and truth within the souls of the government, of those that are in power. We ask for the Great Spirit to shine a light of love and truth within their souls, so they may wake up from their nightmare and remember that their role is sacred as the protectors of the people and protectors of the planet. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shine the light of love and truth within the souls of the corporations, those that are poisoning Pachamama. We ask for the Great Spirits to help them to see past their greed and their ignorance and stop polluting our sacred Mother Earth. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shine the light of love and truth within the souls of the people who are cutting down the sacred forests of the earth. For we need these trees. They contain much wisdom. These trees are our sacred lungs of the earth, and they're essential for our survival. Please, Great Spirits, protect our sacred forests. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and to cleanse and protect our sacred mother waters. Water is alive and water is guided by spirits. And us women, we are the keepers of the sacred mother waters. That which sustains us is being poisoned, and we need clean water. It's essential for our survival, and we need clean water for our future generations, for our children yet to come. Please, Great Spirits, please come and protect and cleanse our sacred mother waters. Every time that you pass a river, a stream, an ocean, a lake, a pond, please stop for a moment and pray for the cleansing of it. Every single one of us can assist in the cleansing of the sacred mother waters. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shine the light of love and truth within the souls of the brothers who are harming our sisters. And we ask for the Great Spirits to please shower with love, light and protection our sisters who are suffering under violence, sexual slavery. Please, Great Spirit, show your presence in their lives so they may know that their suffering is not in vain, and we join our hearts with our sisters. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shower with love, light and protection all of the brothers and sisters on the planet who do not have enough food to eat, who do not have shelter, who have lost their faith in the Great Spirit. Please, Great Spirit, shower them with love, light and protection. May the Great Spirit show its presence in their lives so they may know that their suffering is not in vain. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come to the earth and shower with love, light and protection the sacred tribes of the earth. For we need their wisdom to carry us through into the next era. We ask for the Great Spirits to please help them protect the stay on their lands the way that they always have. Help them to be able to live on the land. And please, Great Spirit, stop the massacre that's happening in Brazil and other countries. We ask for the Great Spirits to please come and shine a light of love and truth within the souls of the people that are killing our sacred animals and torturing our sacred animals of the earth, as many of our relatives are suffering. For all of the animals that are in the abattoirs, millions of our relatives are dying and being slaughtered. For any of you listening that eat meat, please do not buy your meat from supermarkets. If you're awakened once, be more conscious. Know that meat that you're buying is our relatives that have lived a life of torture, and that suffering is contained into every cell of their body, and you digest that. Please ask yourself in your heart, do you need to eat meat? If your answer is yes, then hold yourself with integrity. This path, the spiritual path, demands it. Our relatives ask for it. If you must eat meat, go and buy meat from places where they respect the animals, from farms that look after the animals. But the truth is that most of us on the planet need to stop eating meat, because it is what's causing most of the destruction on the planet is through meat industry. But please, people, do not buy from supermarkets. What you're doing is supporting industries that torture our relatives, and every single one of us are carrying the karma of that. The animals do not have a voice, but we do. We can speak for them. So look in your hearts and have integrity. And please speak for them, speak to others. We ask for the Great Spirits to please protect all of the sacred animals of the earth. Many are being slaughtered and many are suffering. Let us remember that for every species that becomes extinct is a tragedy for every single one of us. We ask for the Great Spirits to please shine a light of love and truth within our own soul, to help us in the challenging times that come to the planet, to give us the strength and the knowledge to know what is the right things to do and the right words to say. To not just practice spirituality, but be spirituality, and to be love in every thought, in every action. Please, Great Spirit, help us to see past our own issues and help us to be strong. Help us to be able to find our warriors within and be the warriors of love and peace and step into our power. We ask for the Great Spirits to please shine the light of love and truth within the souls of our brothers and sisters who are sleeping across the planet, for we awaken as one tribe, not as one person. Thank you, Great Spirit, for all of the blessings we have, for we are so lucky and so many people do not have what we have. Haush, haush, aho.
Thank you so much for that, Akasha. That was very beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me on the Natural Healing Show. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you and hearing about your journey.
Thank you so much, Yara. It's an absolute pleasure. Could I just leave with just saying one last thing?
Of course.
So I would just like to end with the message about the power of love. Love is the most powerful vibration on the planet, and love heals all. And what we need to do is project love and blast it everywhere that we go. When people walk down the street and you see someone, look and smile in everyone's faces. Feel the love and know that you're looking in the mirror with everyone that you see. If you see a homeless person on the street, stop, hold their hand, ask their name. The people in your lives that you might feel the most difficult to give love to are the ones that need it the most. So be generous with your love and share it everywhere, because this world needs so much love. And give it to the earth as well. And know that we are love, and love can heal everything. Thank you so much, Yara, for having me. And I send love to every person that's hearing these messages and everyone that's taken the time to listen to this interview. And I send lots of love to you, Yara, and your work. Thank you so much, sister.
Bless you, Akasha. You have a very strong spirit, and it's been really great hearing your views. Please do check out the One Love Tribal Gathering events. You can follow The Natural Healing Show on Twitter at UK Healing and facebook.com/Natural Healing Show. Stay blessed, and I hope you can join me next time.